Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. This is Akirishin. In this video, I will be featuring the Chance-Vought F4U-4 Corsair, a Tier VII American multi-role fighter. The F4U-4 Corsair features four 20mm cannons that do 115 damage per second each, with a rate of fire of 420 rounds per minute and an effective firing range of 760 meters. Very reasonable distance. It also comes with rockets that do 1,000 damage each within a 30-meter radius, and there are 8 of those. You could alternatively equip a bomb, which does 2 bombs actually, each of which do 4,300 damage within a 75-meter radius. I personally prefer the rockets just because it makes you more mobile. When you've got, of course, the bomb, you have to really stay on that target, and that can be dangerous. The other thing I like about the rockets is when you get those occasions when you're directly behind an enemy aircraft, or maybe they're going head on at you, it's nice to give them that rocket in the face. That never gets old, right? So the F4U-4 Corsair has high airspeed and a long-lasting boost. It's also slated to have good maneuverability in horizontal turns, so not high maneuverability or very high maneuverability, just good maneuverability. So I definitely wanted to accentuate and improve upon that good maneuverability. Therefore, I equipped Lightweight Airframe 3, which increases maneuverability in all axes by 3%. I also equipped Control Surface Adjustment 3, which increases maneuverability in turns by 3%. To maintain our high airspeed in turns and in climbs and other maneuvering activities, I have equipped Engine Tuning 3, which increases engine power by 5%. In terms of pilot skills, to have good synergy with our upgrades, which is always very important to me, I have equipped Engine Guru 1, which increases engine thrust by 3%. That improves aircraft acceleration. I've also selected Aerodynamics Expert, which increases the effects of our Control Surface Adjustment 3, our Lightweight Airframe 3, and our Engine Tuning 3. So all 3 of our upgrades, the effects of those are accentuated by 40% with Aerodynamics Expert. In addition, I've selected Aerobatics Expert, which increases maneuverability in all axes by 2%. Finally, I have selected Demolition Expert, which increases damage caused by bombs and rockets and their blast radius by 15%. In terms of ammunition, I have gone with Universal Ammunition, which has equal chance of fire and critical damage. For consumables, I have gone with First Aid Kit, which automatically heals our crew, our pilot, and provides temporary resistance to further injury. I've also gone with Automatic Engine Restarter, which automatically repairs a damaged engine, and finally Control Surface Auto Trim, which automatically restores controllability of wings and tail. Looking at the F4U-4's specifications, its optimum altitude is 1,300 meters, so it is I would say a low-medium altitude performer. Its stall speed is 160 kilometers per hour. It does tend to stall, I can tell you. Optimum airspeed is 405 kilometers per hour. Average time to turn 360 degrees is 11 seconds, so that's certainly not great. But you know, you tend to want to maybe be more on the peripheral of a battle rather than getting right in the middle of a melee, because sometimes that can be very problematic if you have some turn and burn fighters in there. they're going to definitely get the better of you. But as I mentioned, you have pretty good effective firing range for the cannons, 700 plus meters. So your goal is to try to engage when you're a little bit further out and not to get too close to your quarry. Top speed at best altitude is 690 kilometers per hour. Looking at this aircraft's paint schemes, you're currently looking at Desert, which I would say is one of my favorites for this particular aircraft. This is Marine, Winter, and Summer. Sadly, they do not have the dark blue that often goes with this aircraft. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to use our aircraft comparison chart that I have developed to compare the F4U-4 Corsair to its other Tier 7 multi-role fighter peers. So let's do that now. Alright folks, so here we are on my handy dandy aircraft comparisons chart, and I have mapped out the various different Tier 7 multi-role fighters for you to see how the different stats play out. And what you're looking at here is a bar graph that helps you visualize certain key aspects that I think are probably most important in these aircraft. First off, we'll look at guns. What is the maximum output that the aircraft's gun armaments can put out collectively? Next, we have time to turn 360 degrees. So that's our maneuverability measurement, if you will. Then we have hit points. Next, airspeed. And when we talk about airspeed, what we're talking about is the maximum airspeed at best altitude. I did not use optimal airspeed because my thought is that I want to be able to show you what can this aircraft do at its best. Next, altitude, and finally ordnance. And ordnance refers to the maximum amount of damage the aircraft's rockets and bombs can do collectively. And so that you know, the dividing point last bar will be, for each aircraft, will be the ordnance bar. And that can help you see which, where the particular aircraft's bars begin and end. All right, so what we're going to do first is take a look at gun armaments. So here are the various aircraft's gun armaments graphed out. And what you can see here is that the FW-190A has the highest output damage for its guns. The F4U-4 is third among these aircraft, the FW-190D being second. So basically our FWs are first and second, and then the F4U Corsair is third. Pretty big difference there for the FW-190A, kind of far ahead of its peers. Okay, our next stat that we're looking at is time to turn 360 degrees. And what we see here is that the Yak 9U comes in the lowest turning time at 10 seconds, and the F4U-4 comes in second in that category with 11 seconds. So far in gun armaments, third, and turning time second for the F4U-4 Corsair. And 11 seconds is a very reasonable turning time for a multi-role aircraft. Next, we are looking at the aircraft's survivability, and we're using hit points to help us delineate that particular aspect of the aircraft. And what we see here is that the P-47N has the highest hit points among these aircraft. The F4U-4 is second in that category. But with the exception of the P-47N, all of these aircraft are fairly similar in terms of hit points. Not huge differences there. This chart shows the various different aircraft's airspeeds, and this stat, of course, plays into the aircraft's survivability, because many times surviving means running, getting away from whatever is after you, whether it be a turn and burn aircraft or a heavy fighter, which if it's a heavy fighter, you're probably better outmaneuvering it than trying to outrun it. And what we see here is that the J4M comes out clearly ahead in this particular stat at 730 kilometers per hour. The F4U-4 comes in fourth in that category. But with the exception of the J4M, if you take its 730 kilometers per hour out of the equation, the F4U-4 is pretty on par with the other higher airspeed multi-role fighters, the P-47N and the FW-190D. Only about 5 or 10 kilometers per hour separate them from the F4U-4. So I think the F4U-4 holds its own in terms of airspeed. Next up, we have altitude performance, and what we're looking at here is optimum altitude. The P-47N, the J4M, and the FW-190D all come in at 1,600 meters. The F4U-4 comes in third in terms of altitude performance at 1,300 meters. The FW-190A at 1,400 meters. The worst in this category is the Yak-9U. Our final stat is ordnance, and again, this is looking at the collective damage the aircraft's bombs and rockets can do. And of course, the Yak-9U is just out of the running. It has no bombs, it has no rockets. So that is a significant weakness on the part of the Yak-9U in terms of it being a multi-role aircraft. And of course, the best in this category is the P-47N. The American multi-role aircraft, at least in the P-47 line, tend to have very good bombs and rockets, far and above the rest. Following the P-47N is the FW-190D, which has a total damage output of 11,600. The F4U-4 has decent ordnance output, but certainly pales in comparison to the P-47N or the FW-190D. So if you're looking for a multi-role aircraft that has either good or great ordnance, the F4U-4 is not the aircraft for that. I mainly use the F4U-4's rockets, which is what I equip. It has a bomb, but I equip the rockets. I mainly use those rockets for other aircraft, and in particular when I'm directly behind an enemy aircraft, or more often when an enemy aircraft is coming at me head on. It's fun to give them a face full of rockets. That it just never gets old. But in terms of the F4U-4 being a terrific ground attack aircraft, in terms of being able to function in that role at any high level, the F4U-4 is not the one for that. The P-47N would be your best bet if that's what you're looking for. So looking at these aircrafts overall, you can come to some general conclusions. First of all, the Yak 9U, and I really like that aircraft, but when you look at the stats for that aircraft, with the exception of it being kind of a rock star in the 360-degree turning time, it is very lackluster, and that bears out pretty clearly in this chart. Also, the FW-190D, pretty good aircraft. It's got decent ordnance output. It's one of the best in terms of gun armaments at 508 damage per second. The only aircraft that beats that is the FW-190A at 618 damage per second. But as you can see, its altitude performance is not as good as the FW-190D, and its ordnance output is not even close to what the FW-190D can do. Certainly also the P-47N is an excellent aircraft when you look at it as a whole. It's got some weaknesses. For example, that 13-second turning time is pretty rough. And its gun armaments having only machine guns, that's pretty lackluster. You definitely miss the cannons on that aircraft. But it does have good hit points at 450, which is the best among these aircraft. The F4U-4, fun aircraft to fly, but you know, it is outclassed in many respects by these other aircraft, the FW-190D, for example, and certainly the P-47N. Anyway, I hope that helps you to put the F4U-4 in context with its other Tier 7 multi-role peers. So, having reviewed this aircraft's specifications, my build for it, and having compared it to other Tier 7 multi-role fighters, let's head into a battle now and see how it actually performs. Okay, so we'll be fighting in our F4U-4 over the Road to Rome Call of Duty Theater of Operation.
Show me what you can do, pilots. Let's roll.
And let's head over here to the garrison here. Alright, so far so good. Here's see if we can take out this one of these heavy fighters. Okay, there we go. We got the airfield. Let's see what we have going on here. Fighter down here.
Be advised, the enemy is concentrating forces near the airfield.
P-51D. Japanese fighter here, which we got on fire. Go. We haven't quite secured this airfield yet, although we just made some progress there. Let's see what we can do with this. Well, let's take on this ground attack aircraft here. Huh. Tried to get him with the rockets there. Not easy to do. This is our human pilot, I believe. Alright. So we've got a couple of heavies here. Let's go for this one here. Mutually assured destruction. Okay, so it looks like things are going pretty well for the team. Still don't have that airfield, so we'll have to come in down there. Have a little bit of a trip ahead of us. Have a J4M here, multi-role. Dispatched it pretty handily there. Looked out there with an easy target. Got a heavy here on one of our friendlies. So we'll see if we can't save it before he gets killed there. Oops. Okay, P-51D again here. Don't know if it's the same one or not. We'll go for this fighter here.
Be advised, a line of thunderstorms is approaching.
Okay, things are still going quite well here.
Copy, over.
Head down here and get this J4M, which we ran into previously, I think. And I think we've got something on our tail there. Okay.
We cannot support you any longer. The storm is too heavy. Do you copy?
Get rid of that last
Keep it up. Victory is almost ours.
rocket there so it can respawn completely. Wonder if we can take this garrison over here. The only concern is they're working on the airfield there, and I'd hate for them to take that. Easy target there. Ooh, something's on our tail.
We have complete control of the skies. Way to go.
What do we have up here?
Great job
Okay.
today. We'll be waiting for you
Excellent.
back home.
Alright, so Flying Raider badge, Conqueror, #1 spot on the team, 3 chevrons on the grade rank. Let's head back to the hangar and take a look at the after action report and see how we did overall. I have to say that that Corsair really felt good in the controls. Guns are excellent. That was a lot of fun. Okay, so 17 kills, 2 assists, captured 3 sectors. Let's see here. We were destroyed only once. And it looks like whatever aircraft we destroyed, or that destroyed us, we also shot down. I'm guessing it was the fact that we rammed into him and we destroyed each other. So, I guess that doesn't count. Let's see, summary. So almost, let's see, almost 77,000 in coins, 8362 in experience, 418 in free experience, almost 12,000 in combat points. So yeah, a very good showing there for the F4U-4 Corsair. Fun little aircraft to fly. Okay, so I hope that you have really enjoyed this video as I have bringing it to you. And if you get an opportunity to fly the F4U-4, I hope you have great success in it.